At Christmas dinner, my sister's son shoved his plate toward me and said, "Mom says you should serve, not eat." Everyone burst out laughing. I quietly stood up, grabbed my coat, and left. That night, Mom texted, "Stay away." I replied, "Sure, the payment stays away too." By midnight, the angry calls started coming in. Every holiday was the same. I'd show up early, cook, set the table, clean, smile, and sit wherever they told me. I wasn't family. I was help. They never said it directly, but their behavior made it clear. It started after I moved out. Once I got a steady job, Mom began hinting how fortunate I was compared to Lauren, the sister who stayed nearby, married early, divorced younger, and had a son at 21. Mom excused everything Lauren did. She'd say, "She's doing her best, Abby. Be supportive. You don't know what it's like being a single mom." But what she really meant was, "You don't have a husband or a kid, so make yourself useful." This Christmas, I arrived at 2 o'clock. Dinner was at 5 o'clock. Lauren showed up at 3:30 with a store-bought pie and Carter complaining about boredom. I was already elbow-deep in mashed potatoes. Mom looked at Lauren and said, "There's my girl." Then turned to me. "Don't forget to baste the ham again. It dries out when you don't." I never forget. But I nodded anyway. By the time dinner was ready, I wasn't tired from cooking. I was tired of being treated like help. The kind of exhaustion that comes from realizing you've allowed it to go on too long. When we finally sat down, Carter slid his plate across the table again. Didn't look at me, didn't say anything, just pushed it, then said, "Mom says you should serve, not eat." The silence lasted half a second before everyone burst into laughter. Lauren leaned back and clapped. Mom almost choked on her wine. Uncle Ray laughed with his mouth full. No one looked uncomfortable. No one even pretended to be. I stood up, went into the kitchen, grabbed my coat, and walked out. No one followed. No one called after me. They just kept laughing. Outside, it was freezing, but I didn't feel it. I sat in my car with the heat off, thinking. Not angry, just done pretending I wasn't. I thought about the money. $700 a month, every month, straight to Mom for Carter's private school. The excuse was always, just until Lauren gets on her feet. That was 2 years ago. She never took a second job, never missed her salon appointments. When I got home, I finally turned my phone back on. Around 11 o'clock, Mom texted again, "Stay away if you're going to be like this." No concern, no question, just a warning. I replied, "Sure." Then the payment stays away too. Minutes later, the calls started. Mom, Lauren, even the house phone. By midnight, texts were constant. "What's wrong with you? You're cutting off a child? You embarrassed us?" I didn't respond. I turned the phone off again and went to bed. No tears. No anger, just silence. It had taken one sentence from a child to make me see what I'd ignored for years. He didn't come up with that line on his own. That was Lauren's voice, with Mom's approval behind it. I'd taught them how to treat me by never saying no. But this time, I did. And for the first time, I meant it. The next morning, my phone looked like it had survived a war. 13 missed calls, 7 voicemails, 25 texts just from Lauren. Mom sent 8 more, as if being treated like the maid at Christmas dinner was a small misunderstanding. I skimmed the messages. Lauren called me heartless in 3 different ways. Mom accused me of letting money make me cold. They said I was cutting off family, as if that word was supposed to keep me leashed. I went to work as usual, didn't tell anyone, answered emails, joined meetings. But inside, something shifted. For once, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. Around noon, I got a bank alert. There had been a login attempt on the shared account I'd closed the night before, the one for Carter's tuition. I hadn't announced it. My message made it obvious enough, but apparently they thought I was bluffing. Then came a voicemail from Carter's school, asking if the upcoming payment was still scheduled. I called back and said no. That was it. 2 hours later, Lauren's ex-husband, Jared, called. We hadn't talked in ages. He said, "Lauren's telling people you're sabotaging Carter because you're jealous." I thanked him and hung up. Not surprised. That's always been her move. Twist the story until she's the victim. That evening, the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. Mom holding a plastic bag, leftovers, probably her version of peace. I didn't open the door. She knocked 4 times, tried peeking through the side window, called twice, left a voicemail. I deleted it without listening. 10 minutes later, she left, slowly, like she expected me to stop her. I didn't. By Friday afternoon, the tone changed. Mom sent a long email, carefully written this time. Gone were the accusations. Now it was confusion and concern. She called my reaction sudden and disproportionate. She said Carter didn't know what he was saying, and that Lauren was exhausted, not ungrateful. Then she asked me to show grace and remember that family comes before pride. And the final line, "Your father would be so disappointed in you." I stared at that sentence for a long time, not because it hurt, but because I realized she didn't know. Dad didn't know about any of this. He'd been in Europe for months on a business contract. Switzerland, last I heard. He wasn't due back yet. He had no idea I'd been funding his grandson's school or being treated like unpaid help. So I forwarded the entire email to him. No message, no subject line, just the thread. 3 hours later, he replied, "I'll be home Monday. Don't speak to anyone until I do." So, I didn't. He arrived Monday evening, unannounced. I was in sweats, reheating leftovers, when the doorbell rang. He stood there with a suitcase, wearing his usual travel coat. He looked older, tired, but calm. He hugged me. No speeches, just a quiet moment. Then he said, "I figured this was the better place to come first." We sat in the kitchen. I made tea. He didn't ask what happened. He didn't need to. He said, "Your mother picked me up from the airport," talked nonstop the entire drive. Then I read the email. He paused, and that silence said enough. He looked at me and asked, "Why didn't you ever tell me how bad it was?" I shrugged. There wasn't one answer. I hadn't told him because I thought I could handle it. Because part of me hoped they'd change. When you're the strong one, people forget you might need help too. He leaned back, reached into his bag, and slid a slim black folder across the table. Inside was a trust account in my name. Enough to finally breathe. When I started to speak, he stopped me. "Don't. You've given enough, Abby. To all of us. I've been setting this aside since your first promotion. I figured when you finally had enough, it'd be time." Then he continued, "I called the school. Carter won't be returning next term. The decision's final. Lauren doesn't know yet." My stomach tightened. I could already imagine the fallout. I also closed the shared account. It was your money. Your mother never should have used it. I'll handle the rest. Let them yell at me for once. I tried to say maybe it would make things worse, but he interrupted. "You're not the villain, Abby. You just stopped letting them write the story. You should have walked out long ago. I hate that it took Carter's words to make you do it, but I'm proud you did." He stood up, finished his tea, and hugged me again. "I'll have the conversation now. Stay home tonight. Don't answer the phone. I'll tell you when it's over." He left. I watched his taillights fade down the street. The silence that followed was heavier than before, but peaceful. Tuesday morning, the messages started again. Lauren, first. I can't believe what you've done. You're sick. You've always been jealous. Then Mom, how dare you turn your father against his family? You've ruined everything. What she really meant was, I'd ruined her version of everything. The one where I paid, stayed quiet, and existed in the background. This time, I didn't reply. I didn't have to.